Good morning and welcome to Gospel Bytes, where we take a bite at the Gospel for the day. Today is Thursday, July 3rd. It's the feast of St. Thomas the Apostle. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, O Lord. This is taken from John chapter 20, verses 24 to 29. Thomas, called the twin, who was one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But Thomas said to them, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my finger in the mark of the nails, and my hand in his side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were again in the house, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were shut, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe." Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to Thomas, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So we see from the beginning there was a problem that even the closest followers of Jesus, the apostles, had a hard time believing. How are they going to go into the world and preach about this strange news when they themselves do not believe? Huh? So belief is something that is problematic, especially if the messenger himself does not believe. Now it's said here, Thomas was not with them. So when Jesus first appeared, he was not with them. I used to use this gospel to tell people, this is what happens when you miss Mass. You miss Jesus in the flesh, huh? Which is true when we do not come to Mass. Even just watching on TV, it's not the Mass. The Eucharist is not something that we watch. It is something that um, we partake and celebrate with Jesus. We we rejoice that He is present among us. When it's just comparing attending the audience of a pope and then compare that to watching him on TV. No, it's you cannot compare. When you see that person in person. And so Jesus eagerly wanted to prove that he was alive. He was not a symbol. He was not a hallucination. He was not a vision. So there's a reason why all this time before Jesus went up to heaven, he had to prove that he ate, that he had a body, that you can touch him, you can feel him. Because the sacrament he's going to leave is a sacrament of his presence. That it's not just a symbol, it is not just a vision or a remembrance or a memory of something that happened in the past, but making himself present to us. That's what memory means to the Jews. So eventually Thomas had to touch Jesus. But then Jesus said, "Blessed are those who believe. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe." In the Eucharistic miracles of Jesus, where the bread becomes the true flesh and the wine becomes true blood, oftentimes Jesus had to do that because of the unbelief of the priest, unbelief of the people. In Lanciano, it happened because the priest started to doubt, is this really Jesus? In Cassia, this priest who was bringing communion to the sick treated the host as a piece of bread and put it in his prayer book and drove on his horse. It is because of unbelief that Jesus had to prove to us, look, If you cannot just believe without seeing, here, look with your eyes. And we thought, oh, so those people are so blessed because they see the miracle. Jesus saying, no, these people did not have faith. That's why I had to prove it to them. But you who believed in what I said, you who believe without seeing, you are more blessed, because you have more faith. That is faith. So it is one of the hardest teachings which was the reason why a lot of his followers left Jesus, because they could not accept, they could not understand his teaching on the real presence. So St. Thomas today is a typical example of each one of us who struggle to believe in this piece of bread who is truly Jesus, this cup of wine who is truly him. I'm Father Jerry Sembrano for another edition of Gospel Bites. God bless you. Have a nice day. Happy feast day.